and gentlemen, we appreciate you being here. We will call to, what's the right word? Order. The August 4th, 2026, Ogden City Council meeting. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present here today. And we do have a little bit of a scheduling snafu. The Weber County Fire Officers Honor Guard is not able to be with us today, so we're going to turn the time to Vice Chair Graff for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise and join me if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
And now if you would please join us in a moment of silence, please. Thank you. We have our acknowledgement, the acknowledgement for this month. We've been doing that monthly. It concerns women and the revolution. From the very first signs of tension between the 13 colonies and Great Britain, women discovered their political voice. Women were the driving force behind boycotts of British imports, shunning British tea in favor of local herbal substitutes, and holding spinning bees to reduce dependence on British cloth. Female writers helped turn public opinion against British rule. Mercy Otis Warren, for instance, was the New England playwright who wrote multiple satires lambasting the Loyalists and encouraging the Patriots. Another example was Phyllis Wheatley, an African woman who was enslaved in Boston, who wrote multiple poems celebrating the American Revolution as well as its leaders. The works of Warren and Wheatley were immensely popular and helped shift public opinion in favor of the Patriots. During the Revolution, hundreds of women accompanied the Continental Army to perform essential duties like washing, nursing, and cooking. Though women were considered non-combatants, several Patriot women wound up bearing arms against the British. Margaret Corbin, for example, accompanied the Continental Army as the wife of an artilleryman, John Corbin. When John was killed at the Battle of Fort Washington, 16th of November, 1776, Margaret took his place and continued to fire his cannon until she was incapacitated by several wounds. She survived the battle and would go on to become the first woman to receive the U.S. military pension. On 31 March 1776, Abigail Smith Adams wrote a letter to her husband, John Adams, who was serving as a delegate to the Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia. I desire you would remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power into the hands of husbands. Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation. I thought that was pretty good. So anyway, are there any other acknowledgements? Councilmember Ritchie, I believe you have one.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Just wanted to recognize, looks like we have several members of the League of Women Voters here with us, Terry McCullough. And today is August 6th and Voter Rights Day being kind of acknowledged across the country. And, you know, voting obviously is important to every one of us here. It gives eligible citizens a way to participate in government and influence decisions. The right to vote has been expanded throughout U.S. history and protected. And civic participation helps make government more transparent, accountable, and representative. And with Ogden, we have the council mayor form of government selected by our city voters every 2 years. We have an election where either 4 council members are elected or 3 council members and the mayor. And obviously, we appreciate that engagement and involvement in that. The elections allow the residents to have a voice in decisions affecting Ogden, Weaver County, Utah, and the nation. Utah provides opportunities for eligible residents to register, update their voter information, and participate in elections. Both election security and voter participation are important to maintaining public confidence in the election process. Citizens are encouraged to be informed, respectful, and thoughtful when participating in elections. Voters' Rights Day recognizes the importance of free, fair, and secure and accessible elections. And so again, want to recognize Terry being here. I don't know if it's okay if I invite Terry up to maybe share
Absolutely.
a few words.
You bet.
Or I send Arlene up. Thank you.
Thank you. Members of the council and members of the community, on behalf of the League of Women Voters, I stand before you to highlight the enduring significance of the landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965. Celebrated on August 6th. For nearly 6 decades, this law has served as the bedrock of American voter protection, dismantling legal barriers that previously barred citizens from exercising their fundamental right to vote. As our nation reflects on 250 years of self-governance, acknowledging the Voter Rights Act reminds us that government of the people, by the people, and for the people only exists when all eligible voters can participate freely and equitably. It is an ongoing commitment to expanding representation and ensuring every voice is heard. By formally recognizing the significance of the Voters' Rights Act, our City Council sends a clear, nonpartisan message. Our community values civic participation, protects voter access, and remains dedicated to fulfilling the full promise of American democracy for generations to come. Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, next item on our
Hold on,
agenda.
I have
Oh,
an acknowledgement,
go-
if that's okay.
please- Oh, yes,
Chair?
please do, sorry.
Thank you. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the race director for Goal Foundation, Alex Docta, who the Goal Foundation just put on a brand new event, the Rodeo Run. I'd like to acknowledge that amazing event that they did and pulled off as a new event. And also, Alex just recently participated in the Hard Rock 100, which is known as one of the most difficult ultra marathons that there is. Attracts all participants from around the world, literally. And he had a top 10 finish, including setting a race course record on the final leg of the course. And so that's pretty impressive for a local Ogden resident, and it speaks to the access that we have here in Ogden with the training grounds that are our amazing mountains that sit right on our foothills. So I thought I'd like to acknowledge that.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I almost overlooked you.
No worries.
Sorry about that.
If I can just append that too, that race was awesome, and the finisher medal was a belt buckle, which so cool. And I think I encourage everyone to take advantage of that next year. I think I took first in all the council members who participated.
It's on next time.
All right, any others before I skip anybody? Okay. Now, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is a recognition of Mara Brown. Vice Chair Graff, could you lead us in that one?
Be a pleasure. The Ogden City Council and Mayor proudly recognize Mara Brown for her invaluable contributions to the Ogden community. Over the course of 20 years with Ogden City, Mara Brown has demonstrated a stalwart commitment to public service. Her career with Ogden included a variety of leadership roles, including 14 years as Deputy City Attorney, 2 years as Executive Director of the Management Services Department, and 3 years as Chief Administrative Officer, AKA the CAO. In each role, she exemplified exceptional leadership, professionalism, and steadfast commitment to serving the residents of Ogden. Under Mara's leadership, Ogden experienced significant growth and progress. As CAO, Mara oversaw citywide operations and helped guide major initiatives and projects that shaped the city's future. Her vision and dedication played a significant role in advancing the city's goals and improving the quality of life for its residents. Mara concluded her career with Ogden City at the end of June 2026. We extend our sincere appreciation for her many contributions to the community throughout her time with Ogden City. Her expertise and commitment to excellence have left a lasting mark on the city, and the impact of her work will continue to benefit residents for years to come. We wish her the very best in her future endeavors and know that her legacy will endure throughout the community. Presented this 4th day of August 2026. Congratulations, Mara.
No, we expect that you would.
Yeah.
You got to give us our pay, though. Thanks, Mayor. We're going to do a photo? Let's do.
Yep.
Let's all crowd down on the end.
Take the podium.
We just all kind of squeeze that way.
Oh, okay.
Pretend we like each other. Great. Bring anybody else picture with you?
We're good, we're good. Sure, we'll have them all come up. They don't get their.
Okay, come up.
We're saying no.
We'll have that.
We're saying no?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for letting me speak. It's a little over 3 minutes. I timed it, so I apologize if you're going to be timing me, but it's really hard. I appreciate the public comments when everybody comes in right at 3 minutes. That takes some practice. But thank you again for this recognition and allowing me a few minutes to speak. Thank you, Chair Heyer, members of the City Council, and Mayor Nadolski for your service. The job of an elected official is often a thankless one, requiring around-the-clock time and attention, listening to constituents, learning complicated issues, and thoughtfully making difficult decisions. A value I kept in the forefront during my time serving the city was strengthening and maintaining a positive and productive relationship between City Council and administration. Because of that, this recognition is very meaningful to me. My 19-and-a-half-year career represents a big chunk of my life, time, and energy, but I'm aware there are many city employees who hit the 20, 30, 35-year milestone and beyond. So in recognizing my service as Chief Administrative Officer, you are truly recognizing all of the nearly 700 employees of Ogden City who served alongside me. And as I've reflected on my public service career since I retired a month ago, I am even more appreciative of all the colleagues I have worked with at the city over the years. So I wanted to address this to them. Starting with the public services team, I have so much respect for the work they do day in and day out. and under the leadership of Justin Anderson. Ogden has miles of aging infrastructure, and the team is constantly repairing, replacing, constructing, and monitoring all of the systems throughout the city 24/7, 365 to make sure Ogden runs without a hitch. While these teams go above and beyond with their acts of service on a daily basis, one of the most memorable to me was when a crew noticed the fascination of a young child as work was being done on their street, and that crew returned the next day with a gift of a toy truck. The skill, training, and professionalism of Ogden's public safety teams are unparalleled in the state and the nation. One of the reasons I went into public service was to know our police officers and firefighters as I had growing up in a smaller town. Working alongside the leadership and officers, Ogden City Police Chief Subi and Fire Department Chief Slater is an honor I will cherish for a lifetime. The Ogden City Community and Economic Development Department teams under Jared Johnson work tirelessly to assist residents and businesses and make Ogden a vibrant community while staying on top of economic trends and positioning the city for the future. Our internal services teams are near and dear to my heart. The legal department under Gary Williams and the management services department under Lisa Stout. They're truly the hub of the wheel. This is where process and policies are continuously updated and improved, costs are controlled, technology and facilities maintained, risk managed, and claims prevented. To all of the city employees, I give you my sincere appreciation and admiration. I will always be an Ogden champion. I will always speak to the multitude of decisions, steps, and tireless work that goes into keeping the city running smoothly. I am grateful for Mayor Nadolski, Cindy Wheeloff, and the staff of the mayor's office, and especially for Taylor Nielsen for taking the reins as CAO, and know he will serve with skill and integrity going forward. I'm grateful to Glenn Symes and the council staff for their collaboration in moving important agendas forward. One of the honors of being a public servant is not only solving problems on a daily basis, but being a part of growth and change in the Ogden community over time to leave a legacy that future citizens will benefit from. Sometimes we get to see that growth directly, other times we are planting seeds for the future. I'm grateful to have played a small part of the positive change in the 175-year history of Ogden City, and know the future is bright in the hands of dedicated public servants who carry forward. So thank you again for this recognition.
Thank you, Mayor. There is one FYI, you already know this, but they all don't. We'd like to excuse Mayor Nadolski tonight, but he has presented Mayor with the key to the city.
Yes, thank you.
So, and those are very rare, so.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. I did receive some really nice honors at a farewell celebration that I had just right at the very end, and some that I'm ever grateful for was a recognition by the Ogden Police Department that happened at that time, a key to the city, and that was also, those were just very meaningful to me, and also a special recognition from the Public Services team of a ceremonial street name. So that was just really heartwarming, and I'm extremely grateful for all of that.
All right,
So
thank you.
thank you all again, and don't be surprised if you see me here on a Tuesday night. I might just pop in just to see all of you, and grateful for all the work
Well,
that you
you're always
do.
welcome, but I don't know why you would come back.
Anyway, thank you.
Let's give
Okay.
her another round. Is that
Take
all right?
care.
Those are fun. Not to lose people, but it's fun to recognize people. Next item on our agenda is a request to be on the agenda, but this is, we are pleased to have our newly appointed Weber State University president, President Chris Mallett, has come to introduce himself. So come on forward. Welcome to Ogden and welcome to Weber.
Thanks so much. It's so good to be with all of you. And I'm on my second day, Mayor. If I could leave any sort of impact and legacy in this community, as it seems like you have, I've got big shoes to fill. So congratulations and thanks for your service. And thanks all of you for a few moments to be with you tonight. I'm Chris Mallett, and as I said, I'm on my second day on the job, coming home to Ogden. I'm a Weber State alumnus, and I've been away for about the past 13 years, building a different type of university in New England. But my wife Charlotte and I started our life together on 26th Street here in Ogden. So in more ways than just the university, this is a true homecoming for us. We met, we got married, we had our first child all just a block and a half away. And we did that, for me, as a working adult, studying in the evenings primarily while I was working full-time building houses in Davis County. And I was inspired to do that by Charlotte's experience, my wife. She was a Weber High graduate, grew up in Harrisville. Like many of Weber State students today, did early college, even then, 25, 30 plus years ago. So she walked on the campus in Ogden with an associate's degree in hand and then completed a bachelor's in fine arts. Took her first job working for a design firm across the street. It was then called Epic. They were part of, their biggest customer was iOmega, and as that went, so did their opportunity. But it launched my wife's career as I was starting my education at Weber State. I studied political science. I did intercollegiate mock trial. I was really inspired by our faculty to find my stride, even though I didn't start until I was 22. That's a story that I share with almost all, many of our students. Our students are balancing family, balancing career, balancing often competing priorities, finding their stride and their self-confidence, as I did with the inspiration of faculty, and many of them doing it while living here in Ogden and the communities that you all serve. So I just can't tell you how honored I am to be home and to be back home in Ogden, to be back home to lead Weber State University, joining an extraordinary team, as you all probably know more than I. The university is exciting in so many ways, coming off the successful conclusion of a 5-year strategic plan, engaging with new initiatives, serving different communities with different programs than we've ever before, aspirations to become a Hispanic serving institution, a designation that we're working hard to achieve with community engaged programming here in Ogden and up on closer to Washington and up on Harrison. And I have a lot to learn, including from all of you. So I felt it was really important on my second day to come here and let you know how excited I am to be with you, to learn from you, to work with you. Had a great discussion with the mayor earlier today, and I asked him a question I'd love to ask each of you if there's time for any sort of exchange. And that is, how can we best serve you? You know, one of the things that I interviewed on is a platform that is really threefold. We're one, Weber State community. The team, the faculty, the students, the alums, but also our community partners, our civic leaders, our industry leaders and employers. And I think there's real potential for our university and for this community to really harness that. The second piece of the position that I really interviewed on to gain the opportunity to lead this university is around partnerships. Higher education classically hasn't done a great job of asking how can we be in service of you, the community, the industry leaders, employers. I think the future of American higher education is leaning hard into that question and then responding effectively with what we hear. So for example, if we can work with Ogden's leading employers to ask them what problems they're trying to solve and how can a university be helpful to you, we'll create innovation opportunity and programming that sustains our next phase of excellence at Weber State, and importantly, we'll create extraordinary experience-based opportunities for the learners that we serve and the families that they're trying to sustain. And that's the third part of my agenda, if you will. Experience-based learning and lifelong learning have never been more important. You know, the world is changing so rapidly. Our graduates are world-class. They're extraordinary. Many of you have a Weber State story and experience, and I suspect your family members do as well. But I would imagine being a young person starting your career right now is a little daunting. And a degree just isn't enough, or maybe it is, but it's not always enough. So one of the things that we will be working hard on is continuing to do what Weber State's already doing well, and that's creating world-class education opportunities and world-class experience opportunities for the students that we serve. But we can't do that without the partnership of communities like this or groups like yours. So when I say experience, I mean, how might we work on service projects together that advance the agenda of this council and or the mayor? How might we help recruit new employers to the community by offering the opportunity to partner and create experience-based learning programs for and with our students and using that as a magnet that might bring new economic investment to the city? These are all ideas from a guy who's literally at the end of day 2. So I have a lot of work to do and a lot of learning to do before we can execute all of these things. But the great news is the university is already doing it. It's extraordinary what this university has become now nearly 30 years since my wife and I graduated from Weber State. And I'm so honored to be here and work with all of you to see where we go next. Appreciate the time and opportunity.
Thank you, President. That was very good.
Thanks so much.
Several years ago, Weber State's efforts with Ogden City won us the Abernathy Award, the College Town Partnership Award that we went back to Washington, D.C. to receive. And so we've already got some good track record with working together with Weber State. We have the College Town Initiative, and we'll continue to refine that and work together with you to make sure that that's a substantive document that we can work together on.
I'd love to learn more and be involved. And you probably all know there's such an access orientation at the university and tremendous opportunities with scholarships and funding to help families access education that can change people's lives like it did for me and probably for so many of you. And so if there are ideas that each of you or collectively you have that you think the university can help to advance, we're literally at your service. We're your neighbors, we're part of this community, we're committed. And I am personally driven to help all of us at the university find more and more opportunities to collaborate with the partners in the communities that we're a part of and that we serve.
That's great.
Love to do it. Thanks so much, everyone, for the time. I really appreciate it.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Thank you, Chair. If I can just say a couple things, I appreciate.
Don't go away.
Sorry, I was mindful of the 3-minute rule. I felt like I was overstaying my welcome.
no, you're
Sorry
good.
about that.
No, I want to just welcome President Mallet.
Mallet.
Okay, sorry
is great.
for messing that up there. I wore my Weber State tie. I chose not to wear my three-piece purple suit. I didn't want to scare you off, but I do love Weber State, and I'm a big fan. And I would just say President Mortensen did a great job of maintaining relationships and communication between all things. Weber State is a tremendous partner for Ogden City, and to me, that's a big part of that is just having those relationships and that ability to communicate and talk about challenges with neighborhoods around the university and all the things. And we recognize Weber State as a great leader in so many things, including sustainability and so many other areas. And so aside from, promising an FCS division championship or, some wins in the NCAA tournament, those would be great too. So anyway,
Sure.
Yeah. So thanks for being here.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm glad you did it, and I should have. I mean, I have big shoes to fill in that regard too. President Mortensen was not just president for 7 years, but part of the Weber State community for 20. And so I'm hearing you say communication is a priority, and if it's okay, I'll ask to be on the agenda from time to time and update you on our progress and engage with you about your priorities and et cetera. And then, of course, informally or at any time. With respect to athletics, I met with the athletic director and all of our coaches this morning. I've done a lot of things in higher education. I've been part of teams that built 2 really extraordinary universities, but I haven't done a lot with athletics. I have a lot to learn there, but that team inspired me. Those coaches are compelling, and the student athletes at Weber State are thriving on the field and academically. 3.5 GPA, extraordinarily talented in so many ways. And the coaches I met this morning are fired up and really excited to take it to the next level. I'm not going to promise a championship on my second day, though.
Chair, if I may,
Yes.
as a Weber State alumna as well from the theater department, musical theater in particular, I look forward to you meeting those coaches as well, which are the theater
100%.
directors and arts and humanities. And we have placement with people working all over the country, including Kaylin West, who is part of Jellicle Ball, who just won a Tony, was part of the Tony-winning crew for that musical.
Fantastic.
Yes, so we have a lot of award-winning entities up at Weber State University. And Chair, I'm glad you brought up the College Town Initiative, because I'm looking that our last progress report was published in 2017, and knowing that's a council initiative, I look forward to us growing that and reinstating that as a priority for the council.
Let's reactivate it. Let's get
Yeah.
to work. With respect to theater, I have a 16-year-old music theater major, and I've learned a lot about that world. Also, we couldn't quite execute it, but in addition to the graduate that you just mentioned, we were trying to meet with some alums in New York City last week as I drove west. And we couldn't execute it, but
Call me.
lots
I
of
got their
folks.
numbers.
All right, I'll be following up.
Thank you.
I've got the theater schedule on my docket for the fall. Maybe we can go to a show together. Awesome, thanks so much.
Love to get your contact someday, so.
I'll share it all.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks so much for the time, everyone. So good to be with you and be home. Thanks.
Thank you, President. That's another fun one. All right, next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. The joint work session of May 26th, 2026. Councilmember Lundell.
I have reviewed those minutes and have found them to be accurate.
Thank you. And the joint work session of June 2nd, 2026. Councilmember Lopez.
I reviewed those minutes. I found them accurate.
And then the regular meeting of June 2nd, 2026. Councilmember Ritchie.
Yes, Chair, those were robust and it was a long, nice, long meeting, but I reviewed the minutes and found them to be accurate.
And finally, the work session of June 9th, 2026. Councilmember Washington.
Thank you. I reviewed those minutes and have found them to be accurate.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from work session of May 26th, joint work session of June 2nd, regular meeting June 2nd, and the work session of June 9th.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the minutes. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, they pass. Next item is a public hearing. This is a fiscal year 2026-2027 budget amendment for future park property reserve. Don't say that 3 times really fast.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councilmember Peterson.
Yes, I have a conflict of interest with this particular item of business, and I'll need to recuse myself from the
Okay.
meeting.
Our procedure is you can go wait in the other room. We'll come retrieve you when we're finished with this one.
Okay, I'll grab some snacks. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if I need to wait a second before I begin presenting. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to come and review this budget action before you tonight for your consideration. So just a little history about what we've done with these funds. So the budget action for you tonight is a little unique. Typically, when we bring a budget opening to you, it's to increase or adjust the budget of the city. This is a net zero budget change because we're just moving money between accounts in our general ledger, but because it's moving between departments, it does require council action. And so what these funds are used for and kind of what we've been prior appropriated back in fiscal year 2023, administration and city council worked together, and we had set aside $3 million in a property reserve account that had a specific use to be able to purchase property that would benefit the city park system. And wasn't used or intended to improve or ongoing maintenance, but to be able to purchase as opportunities did arise. And so that action took place in fiscal year 2023, and since that time, the city's administration has used those funds to be able to purchase several properties, which are listed in the presentation there. Included another Ogden School District property at 625 Grant, as well as some other small purchases as well. And so with these funds, currently as of the end of our last fiscal year, we're at just under $700,000 available that can still be used of these. But for your consideration tonight, and as part of the budget for fiscal year 2027, administration had proposed these funds to be set into this account. But with discussions with City Council, we had we moved those out of the future property reserve account and set them aside in an allocated for future project account that was under City Council's discretion, with administration proposing or coming back in July to be able to present on this item again. And so that's what we're here for tonight, is for your consideration. And so the proposal is to take that budget item that was put into the allocated for future use account and move it back to that future park property reserve account. This would be added to the $690,000 that currently exists. And so the net change in the budget is zero, but it is moving funds between a city council account and a non-departmental account, which does require action. This $700,000 that was placed in the budget is originated from BDO lease revenue, as well as some prior year general fund monies that had been put into the CIP fund in a prior year and was being held there for further council action. And as is described in the packet, these funds will be used as opportunities arise, and the current opportunity that has been discussed both in a couple of work sessions and now tonight is to be able to purchase part of the property for the Taylor Canyon, where the Taylor Canyon School existed. And so in working with the school district, administration, the parcel size that we're looking to purchase is approximately 1.91 acres at $700,000, which is approximately the amount of the budget opening as well. But the closing for this property would take place after council approval, and then also they still have to subdivide the plot. But I just wanted to take a moment to also thank the mayor. I know he's not here tonight, but with his leadership and support with the Taylor Canyon, with this purchase, with looking at this. From the beginning, he's also been a strong champion in this effort, and he's been meeting closely with the neighborhood, with the school district, and with city council to help move this opportunity forward. And I just want to sincerely appreciate his commitment and all that he's done to also help get us to where we're at today. But so for your consideration tonight is this appropriation to transfer funds from one account to another to allow administration the opportunity to purchase this property.
Thank you, Justin. Are there any questions for Justin before we open the public hearing?
I have one, Chair.
Yes.
So the balance in the account currently is $692,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so the this property that's on the screen here could be purchased with, that could be executed with a transfer of, say, $10,000.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Correct.
Any other questions for Justin? Okay.
Thanks.
This is a public hearing, so if you have come to discuss your thoughts or ideas on this topic, now would be the time to come forward. Please give us your name and city for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Laura Lewis, Ogden City resident. I'm a little confused on this. I thought, first of all, I do want the park. I think we need to do that. And right now, I'm confused as far as whether that is going to be approved regardless of the outcome of this decision tonight. And just clarify that for me. And I don't think it's ever a bad thing to invest in open space. If you choose not to, if for some reason down the road you need to sell that park, that's an option. But in the meantime, it is a central part of that community. It is where the community meets. And I know there's other parks, but those parks have potential issues as far as amenities, what you can and can't do in those parks. And this isn't actually a year-round park because there is a sledding hill. Those sledding hills are hard to find inside downtown Ogden or the Ogden area. You usually have to travel somewhere to find a decent hill, although there is Mount Ogden Park. But I mean, it's in their neighborhood. Those little kids can walk to that park. I think it is something that adds to the community. Yes, it doesn't generate income. I know that's what Ogden City likes, is generating income-generating properties, but it adds other things to adds other value to the community that maybe you can't measure, but it's there. And based on the Utah State Well-Being Survey, one of the, if it wasn't number one, it was number 2 on outdoor use. People that live in Ogden are outdoor people. They want places to be out, to go and recreate outdoors. And these parks offer them those opportunities. Kids can walk to these parks because they're in their neighborhoods. Very few kids have mothers that can run them down to a park when they want to have go to the park. They can ride their bicycles. They can be safe in their neighborhood. And that's why these are so valuable. I grew up around parks, and we're an important part of my childhood, and that's how I learned to value these spaces. I live near to 2nd Street Park, and that park is always busy. I drove by it today. There's 2 baseball diamonds, a pavilion, and they are always occupied. People walk their dogs. That's what we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Anyone else?
Good evening, Chair and Council. Sorry the mayor's not with us tonight. There's only two of you up here that remember 2022. There's Chair Heyer and Ken Ritchie. You remember that I attended 9 months of meetings and I was a bit of a thorn in your side, coming up every single night, fighting for park space, right? And I commend every one of those citizens over in the Taylor Park neighborhood that have come before you and made calls and sent in emails to fight for that space. That's what we need in this community. In 2022, there was a 53-acre shortage of park space. That wasn't my numbers. That was numbers in plans that y'all approved. I brought you a plan at that time to fulfill 23 acres at $204,000 an acre. That $3 million that you're all spending was from the initiative that I undertook. And with that time with Chair Nadolski and co-chair Lopez, we got that $3 million set aside for 3 spaces: Grandview, the space down off of connecting the 4th Street, and the North Lincoln lot. That was going to be 23 acres of the 43-acre shortage that we had at the time at $204,000 an acre. Doesn't that sound cheap now? I was told at that time that was too much. I fought through it. We got the budget amendment, working together with y'all. Not all of you voted for it, but we finally got it through, right? And we got that $3 million budget amendment. The next couple days, the mayor at that time, Mayor Caldwell, decided he wasn't going to execute on Grandview. That one was going to go to the building and the development, which we see half built now, which why Mr. Peterson's no longer in the room. We didn't get the other parks. We didn't get the other space. We fell short. That $3 million that you all said $204,000 an acre was too much to purchase. Now you're buying land like Bella London on Sunday. You all are spending so frivolously, it's unbelievably. You're spending over $1 million per acre space for a little teeny lot. How does that fall within the plan approved by this body? How is that approved by the direction given to the mayor and the administration to execute? How are we spending almost $1 million per acre for land now for that park space? And so I guess what I'd like to say in closing is I'm thankful that this time around that you're at least putting reserved funds on that $700,000, and I hope it's used appropriately.
Thank you, Mr. Van Wagner.
Thank you.
Anyone else? There are a couple hands online. A. Dunaway. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yep. Hello. Thank you. I have a statement regarding the financial
Can you
aspect.
tell us your name, please?
Oh, sure. My name is Annie Dunaway. You guys have heard from me before. I have a statement regarding the financial transaction of this Taylor Park and our park reserves in general. And the reason being is because taxpayers paid to purchase that land. We paid to build a school on it. We paid to maintain that school. We paid to tear that school down. We paid to maintain it after that. This money, and now we're about to pay inflated land values to purchase something we already own. This is an absurd fleecing of taxpayers. That property already belongs to us, and we're telling you how we want it used. Open and wide. We have people who don't even live in that community are telling you how we want that space used. And the crazy part is that we're over here saying, yes, buy it with our money again. That's how bad we want it. And I just want you guys to think about that. Yes, approve the parks money, and yes, approve buying Taylor Park. We all want green space. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, another Stacia Ryder.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, Stacia Ryder. I'm an Ogden resident in the Taylor Canyon community. Many of you have received communication from me. I'm sorry, I'm sick, and didn't want to put other people at risk. And we had some other community members that were planning on coming, but I know that some of them are battling illness, some of them are elderly, and many people are out of town, given it's the summer. So, every other time I've spoken to you, I've had something prepared. I wasn't sure how to prepare tonight because I feel like I've made all of the arguments I think that can be made in terms of the value of the space, in terms of the economic value of open space, in terms of the value that it holds for the community, both in the present and in terms of the connection to the past. And so I don't know that it serves any of us well for me to make some of those same arguments again. I just want to ask you all to once again consider all of the arguments. I do really think that Anne's point about a lot of people, even beyond the Taylor Canyon community, being supportive of this is important and relevant. I haven't seen widespread concern about investing in this neighborhood. There's a lot of amenities already here. Excuse me. And so I hope that, you know, if this doesn't pass as part of this package of moving the 700,000, I hope that you'll talk about and think about and approve a different way to move the small amount of funds that need to be moved for this park, and or consider some of the alternative opportunities for moving forward with the purchase of part, or, you know, in an ideal world for many of the people in the neighborhood, the whole space, because it is a space that could really have great use beyond just our neighborhood because of the size and the amount of flat open space that is there. So I just want to remind folks that it's not just our neighborhood that uses the park and would benefit from it. I want to thank all the folks who have worked really hard on this at the city and on council, and have been receptive to having conversations and have responded to my request to have conversations. I appreciate that, whether we agree or we disagree. I think it's fundamental that our elected officials do engage and respond to community concerns and issues. And so thanks everyone for your consideration.
Thank you. Let's see, next is Michelle's iPhone.
Hello, thank you all. It's actually Michelle Williams, and I am an Ogden City resident. Thank you for all your work, and I appreciate the time to speak with you this evening. I would like to point to the general plan for Ogden. The general plan consists of open space for Ogden, and I am in favor of whatever it takes to secure that property on the north end of the Taylor Canyon School for open space, for a park, for our community. Everyone benefits from it, and it is consistent with the general plan of Ogden. So I would just like to encourage you, just like the other members of the community have already spoken, find some way to secure that as park space. That's what the residents want. That's what the residents are asking you for. And in addition, some of the parks need a lot of work. So the $700,000 could probably actually go a long way. Mount Ogden Park, a lot of soccer is played on that park, and a lot of twisted ankles happen because there's a lot of holes in that grass. So I feel like the $700,000 could go a long way to improve some of the parks that we already enjoy. I believe that part of the community in Ogden is so wonderful and so vibrant because we have so many open spaces that the residents love and appreciate. So I would just like to encourage you to look at the general plan and listen to the constituents and the residents of Ogden, and vote to secure that land and the $700,000 to be allocated for more park, more open space. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Next is Teresa's iPhone.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
We can.
Great, thank you. My name's Teresa Bramwell. I am a resident of Salt Lake City, but I am a long-term property owner in many areas of Ogden, including this neighborhood because I used to own a home on Swan Street. But currently I own a home in East Central and some commercial property in East Central. And so my question about this particular usage of money is if this $700,000 is coming from the Quality Neighborhoods Initiative, which was originally slated for the East Central neighborhood, because East Central took a haircut to pay for the junction, and none of the money that should have been invested in East Central was invested in East Central for many years, more than a decade. And East Central is a hot, steaming mess. And I would love to see East Central become functional. So I just want to know if this $700,000 is coming out of the Quality Neighborhoods Initiative, which was earmarked for East Central. That's my question. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Bramwell. Let's see. Anyone else in the chambers that wants to speak on this issue?
Chair, not seeing any movement, I'd make a motion to close the public hearing on this issue.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, seconded by Vice Chair Graff to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay. Justin, can you come up and help us answer some of these questions?
All right, so I wrote down two questions. I hope if I missed any others, please let me know. As far as the purchasing of the property, if this budget action doesn't take place, we would be short of the funding available to be able to purchase it, as that's the account that we've identified for the use to be able to purchase property for these in these situations. So that does require action to be able to increase that account to be able to have enough funding available. So we wouldn't have enough at this point to purchase it for the $700,000. As far as the last question about where the funds are coming from, just as a reminder, these funds came from BDO lease revenue and also prior year unused general fund balance. So it's not related to Quality Neighborhoods, but it was from BDO and general fund.
Okay. Anybody else think of any else?
Do you want to take a stab at taxpayers buying property twice?
The only thing I could make a note of that is that they're two separate entities. The school district who currently owns the property is a different entity than Ogden City. And so as they are surplusing this property, there are certain guidelines that they have to follow when they surplus that gives us an opportunity to acquire. But again, we are two separate entities. What they own, we do not. And so as they are surplusing it, we have the opportunity to purchase it from them. So I don't know if that helps to answer that.
That's a tough one too. I kind of think of it this way: as Ogden City has very similar, Ogden City and the Ogden School District, almost identical boundaries, right? And so if we say we own it because we own it from the school district standpoint, and now we're buying it because we're buying it from the city standpoint, who's receiving that? We are also receiving that, right? But in one sense, it's just transferring from one entity to the other, but representing both taxpayers. So, yeah, that's how I like to look at it. I don't know if there's,
well,
I don't know, yeah.
I look at it that way too, but and I made that same argument. It didn't hold a lot of water when I made it either, in that the school district has a different mission than the city does. The school district, they want to educate people and pay teachers and, all of those kind of things. And so if they just maintain the property without selling it, they would not be able to take that money to do that, to fulfill that mission. So that's why the money needs to change hands. It would be nice if it didn't, but that's the argument. So are there?
Chair?
Yes.
So just to confirm, we already, in in the Parkland Reserve, in the history that you outlined in the presentation, as of 6/30/26, there is $692,000.
Correct.
And so this $700,000 would be
In
added
addition
to that.
Correct.
So we would be close to doubling that reserve when we're just short about $10,000.
Right, but what that does is it gives us available funds, so if any other opportunities arise that administration would like to pursue, they have the funds available to be able to do that. As there's only a certain use, we can only use it for certain, we can only purchase the property and use it for certain uses, and so it would restrict what we're buying to use that for, and so, but it does allow that we're not having to come back and do a budget action every time, because sometimes some of those transactions may need to happen quicker than government operates sometimes. And so that's part of what, as we've discussed with council, when we put this money aside originally, that it allows administration that flexibility with having those funds available.
So that $700,000 would stay allocated for future projects.
Correct.
If it did not move forward. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Chair, with that in mind, I move that we amend Schedule B of Ordinance 2026-15 to reduce the amount transferred to future property reserve from $700,000 to $10,000.
Okay. Does everybody understand the motion? Okay, so what the motion is to change the amount of money being moved from the 700 to 10. That's the only change you're proposing. Is that right? Okay.
And I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Lundell, seconded by Councilmember Washington to amend the motion, amend the ordinance.
Is there any discussion on? Can we? Have
We can, yes.
Yeah, sure. I think what I would like to see is, it feels like there's some conflating going on with the purchase of Taylor Canyon property and also this reserve fund. And I think it would be just good work to separate those out. We can have a full discussion about about Taylor Canyon, which I think we've exhausted, and then we can have a full discussion about the remaining amount for property reserve.
And I see that point for sure. I also see value in having money set aside for future park purchases without having to come through this process again. Again, as part of the council, when we made the budget amendment originally, or back in 22, to have $3 million set aside is given, I believe it's given the city opportunities to do that. And so I am also in favor of moving the 10,000 as is being proposed in order to move forward with the Taylor Canyon purchase. I think what's being proposed is a sort of a win-win where the property is segmented so that it can develop under two different purposes. But I guess I can see that. I don't want the Taylor Canyon property to miss out on that opportunity. But I also am in favor of moving the entire amount. So that's how I feel about that. So.
Okay, any other comments?
Just that I think that if we move 10,000 and it enables us to purchase 10 Taylor Canyon, it leaves our account for future open space purchases at zero. And I really am in favor of recharging that account so that we've got a balance that doesn't leave us flat-footed when another opportunity comes along.
Councilmember Graff, do you have that paperwork to show that balance would be at zero, or are there funds available in that future park property reserve?
It's my understanding that budget is at 692,000, as you highlighted in your comments earlier. And Mr. Lundell's suggestion is that we just round it up so that we've got the 700 necessary and no money further for parkland purchases.
So, but the 700,000 would stay in the allocated future project potentially.
It's sequestered and would need a budget amendment to move it.
Yeah, so it could be utilized again. It would just have to come before this body to be utilized, or even just we could move it in another discussion where we have a discussion about that particular thing. We're just separating the two. We could do that in another item where we have that full discussion about that item because it feels like today was a lot about Taylor Canyon. We've had this discussion about Taylor Canyon. Let's do that. And then we can have further discussion about whether we want to refill those coffers or whether we want those to remain in City Council's purview for approval of that land.
Okay, and I guess I get that. I just don't know what more there's going to be to discuss about that, having that money recharged for future purchases that as opportunities present themselves. That's as simple in my view as it is just making sure that that fund's available. So, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion to modify the ordinance. I think I've stated it's Councilmember Lundell who made the motion, seconded by Councilmember Washington. I believe this is just a voice vote to modify, right?
Yep, because you're just amending the ordinance or the proposal, and then if that is approved, then you would approve the ordinance as amended. So
Okay.
two-step process.
So all in favor of modifying the ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to modify the ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
That fails.
So then if that fails, I would just make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2025-15.
And I'll second.
2026-15?
2026, let me put my glasses on. Yeah, that's a 26.
And
Sorry.
I'll,
Yeah.
2026-15?
Yes.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, seconded by Vice Chair Graff, to adopt ordinance 2026-15. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez?
Yes.
Councilmember Lundell?
No.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Aye.
Councilmember Washington?
Nay.
Vice Chair Graff?
Aye.
Chair Heyer?
Aye. That gets the required 4 votes. That passes. Okay, you're free to talk about your no vote if you think there's more to say.
I don't think there's a lot more to say. I think everybody knows that I'm in favor of the Taylor Canyon purchase property, have been for a long time, and I'm excited to see that that's going to go forward. I still wish it was bigger, which was the whole property, but I'm excited that some of that space will be preserved for that neighborhood. And I want to thank everyone who reached out in the process, that sent emails, that gathered in the park in the rain when it was cold. That was a good day, even though it was very cold. So I just want to thank that neighborhood and thank everyone that participated in the public process. Thank you.
And I'll just say that I am in favor of the project. I'm in favor of Taylor Canyon and always allocating in a proponent for open space and green space and park space. However, I do think there is a due diligence in ensuring that any type of funds that would be part of a strategic park property acquisition or open space opportunity that we just voted on is presented to council first before that purchase is made.
Okay, can we send someone to retrieve Councilmember Peterson? Okay. I see his head coming in, so, all right. So the next item on our agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding your concerns or ideas on any topic. Please come to the front, give us your name and city, please, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. My name is Robert Hunter, and I'm an Ogden City resident. I came here tonight to see Council Member Peterson sworn in and didn't realize it happened at 3:45. But it was still good to see his smiling face and to see all of you. And in the process of your discussion, I do have something to say, and it might take me more than 3 minutes because I had another purpose as well. But listening to your discussion on this property, it reminds me of the time when I was Ogden City manager, and the superintendent of schools, Superintendent West at that time, and I talked about the best use of the swimming pools, the one at Ben Lomond High School and the one at Ogden High School. Those two pools at that time were owned by Ogden City. Ogden City was spending a substantial amount of money subsidizing those pools. We worked out a deal where that property was transferred to the Ogden School District. And as I recall, you might want to check this, but as I recall, we simply transferred the property and we did not charge the school district for that property. It has since been maintained and used not only for students, but also for members of the community. So the only reason I say that is I think putting heads together, thinking about creative ways to do what we do when the school district and the city are trying to do things to improve the community together would be a very helpful thing to do. And so I'm glad that you're going to have further discussions about that. Now, I also want to say that the Weber County Commission puts public comment at the beginning of their meeting. And I'm proud to say that as chairman of the county commission, I'm the one that instituted that. You might consider putting the public first because tonight I'm missing part of an Ogden Raptors game going on in Montana. And I'd like to be home watching that. And had I been able to make my input at the beginning, I could be doing that. And any of you that missed Sunday's game with the Ogden Raptors, you missed an amazing game. It was down to, were you there? Wasn't that something? It came down to the 9th inning, the bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, 2 strikes. We were 1 run behind, and we had a great infield hit, got 2 runs, won the game, and even the series with the best team in the Pioneer League. So when they came to play with us, they had 2 losses, and we added 3 more while they were here in Ogden. So we're very proud of that. Hopefully the Raptors continue to progress and get into the playoffs. Now, if you'll forgive me, let me just say one more thing.
Yeah, your time is up. I'm sorry. For fairness, we can't let you ramble anymore.
Well, shoot.
I'm sorry.
I wish I could because I came to say some other things. I should have just said those and talked to you about the school district in private.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for your time.
Please call or email, Robert.
Sorry?
Call or email.
I'll be sure and do that.
Thank you.
I'll send something to each of you, and I'll probably end it with a smiley face.
All right, thank you. Next. You can pull it down. There you go.
Hello, everybody. I'm Carolyn Quinn, Ogden resident. I have 2 concerns regarding the Taylor Canyon property. I know you already voted, but I would like to put them on the record anyway. One is that in that proposal, it made it very clear that it does not include any kind of maintenance of the park. And I'm curious who's responsible for maintaining such a spot. I know that I've been hearing complaints of goat head weeds, which is something new to me here. And I don't know who takes care of it. I don't believe we have a park district. My second concern is that if we're going to be investing large funds into acquiring these properties, do we have some kind of a commitment that we're not going to be seeing apartment buildings or office buildings put up on those open spaces? Thank you.
Thank you.
Council members, good to see y'all. Councilmember Peterson, welcome. Sarah Fisher, Ogden City resident. I'm part of the crew that comes and talks about ICE and the holding room and asking our city for accountability for it. We've been coming here continuously since January, and we still don't really have very good answers, so just a brief introduction of who I am. First, I want to acknowledge some concerns from the council that we have been too critical over things about ICE in the holding room. And I just want to acknowledge that comes from a place of advocacy and a commitment to the people in our community that can't come here and speak. And there are many of those people. What we're seeing right now with ICE nationwide is being referred to as a shadow surge. The ICE holding room previously by previously, like we'll say in April or so, was typically staffed with about 6 officers. Recently, that number has gone up to 15 officers on weekdays and usually 6 on weekends. So the ICE holding room in Ogden is currently staffed 7 days a week. The tactic that they're using is taking people early in the morning on the way to work when it can't be seen by the community, so that more community members are quiet. So I just wanted to kind of share with y'all some numbers of what's happening locally. And then with that, I wanted to bring something up. So Ken Ritchie, you made a post recently about OPD's role with ICE. You stated OPD does not enforce federal immigration law, they do not ask about immigration status, and officers do not make immigration arrests, transport detainees, or participate in the process. But what they do is stand by and facilitate it. So I want to throw out some ideas of what the city council could do to actually enact structural changes. And these are things that have happened in other cities. So this list specifically comes from the Pittsburgh City Council of what they actually did with policy. They put policy in place not allowing where city employees and contractors are prohibited from asking about immigration status. The law bans police from taking action on that status, and they put in place laws where ICE agents can no longer access individuals held in city custody. So this is something where the city put in, instead of saying, hey, the police is good, just trust them, they actually put policy in saying that the city isn't going to be helping ICE. So kind of in response to the police posts and in response to some of the conversation with Nadolski, I wanted to include ideas of what the city could do if you wanted to. Because it's really hard hearing over and over that the city can't do anything. And then with that, my other notes. Yeah, I just want to say once again, we're asking for transparency, accountability, and we would just like some answers that we don't feel like we've gotten. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jesse Diener. I'm an Ogden resident, and I am here to discuss the proliferation of flock cameras in Ogden and to civilly express my wish for this program to be discontinued. These cameras are incompatible with a free and constitutional society, and at no point was our consent as Ogdenites asked to compromise our liberty for supposed safety. There has been no surge in unsolvable supercrimes in Ogden to necessitate this overreach. Indiscriminate and constant surveillance chills our freedom of speech, action, and movement. People will fear attending protests, crossing state lines for medical care, or exposing local corruption if they don't fear it already. For our imperiled immigrant brothers and sisters, these cameras are a loaded gun. There is a camera on 26th and Monroe, directly across the street from an immigration lawyer. Ogden is the most active client of Flock in Utah, and there has been no transparency over who is making the decisions and signing the contracts to allow this travesty. And I'm asking for this transparency now so that we can see exactly who is failing to represent us and who is buying our rights from the tech billionaire class. Short of the removal of all Flock cameras, I would also request that a warrant be required to access ALPR data. Flock claims that they delete all data on their end after 30 days, but makes no such requirements for its clients. Would Ogden PD commit to clearing all of its archival data in such a way? Essentially, I would like to surrender any of my time to anyone who could speak to the accountability of this process, as we don't know who is responsible for this.
Yeah, you're free to use the rest of your time.
And I will surrender the rest of my time if there's
okay. Thank you, Mr. Diener.
Hey, good evening, council members. My name is Blake Ham. I'm an Ogden resident and a local business owner. I own a data and AI consulting business, and I've worked in the data science industry for over 9 years. A few months ago, I presented an analysis from the data deportation data project that's a research initiative that obtains ICE enforcement data through Freedom of Information Act litigation that corroborated KUER reporting that the Ogden holding facility is not following their conditional use permit. I shared my methodology, and the community has continued to press on this. Since then, the mayor met with the facility and attributed the gaps to data entry errors. I appreciate the follow-up, but that explanation raises more questions than answers. If errors this significant can be caught by a citizen polling public data, what's the facility's own quality control process? Who's auditing this data independently? And how can the council verify the CUP is being honored if the baseline data is unreliable? I'm asking for two things. One, a public explanation of how facility data is collected, reported, and validated, not just quietly corrected after the fact. And two, a public report showing that the corrected numbers showing what the corrected numbers actually reflect. A data entry error isn't a resolution. It's a red flag that our oversight isn't strong enough. And I also want to add on the comments about different solutions that cities have done. I know Shoreline in Shoreline, Washington, they also created some rules around the parks. So basically when you go to a public park, there's signs that disallow federal ICE agents there. So there's plenty of options of different rules that you guys can come up with that are legal to prevent, ICE, being in Ogden and having a presence here. So that's what the community keeps bringing up. And so I think there's no laboring the point too much. We're waiting for action from you guys. So really looking for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ham.
My name is Jonathan Smith. I don't have much to say other than I just want to thank the four of you that voted for Jeremy Peterson for City Council, appointing him that. Thank you for standing by your constituents, listening to the people, and welcome to the team.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Freed. I'm also here to talk about the appointment of Mr. Peterson. There's been a lot of kind of nasty rhetoric online about him, and that because he's not off on the far left that he's not qualified. I'd just like to say that he seems like a pretty normal guy to me, like most Ogdenites. And just because you're not off on the far left does not mean you're not qualified to be on the council here. And so I think we need more people like Mr. Peterson serving in public. And that's all I got for you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kim Haslam, Ogden resident. I'm here to again ask for accountability and transparency regarding the ICE hold room conditional use permit. I would like to ask the mayor to place this matter on the Planning Commission agenda so it can move forward through the public process that our ordinances require. The issue has been delayed for months, and that delay undermines public confidence in the city's commitment to follow its own land use regulations. We've been told through Planning Commission that administration's investigation into the hold room is ongoing, so I have a few questions for administration. What has been completed, what work remains, and when will the Planning Commission, this council, and the public receive those findings? I think we deserve a clear timeline. In the previous council meeting, the mayor alluded to a reason for not pulling the CUP was because it may lead ICE to build a larger facility, which he says would mean more people detained. The Planning Commission exists to determine compliance with land use regulations. If permits are enforced based on hypothetical future actions instead of the actual conditions of the permit, it sets a troubling precedent that could affect every property owner and business in Ogden. The city has a responsibility to apply its ordinances consistently, regardless of who the applicant is. So I will again ask the question, if a conditional use permit was required for the facility to exist, why can't the city pull the permit? We keep hearing potential reasons the city cannot take action is the supremacy clause. The supremacy clause is not a blanket exemption from local land use laws. Local governments across the country routinely enforce zoning, building, fire, and safety codes on federal facilities and federal contractors unless Congress has clearly said otherwise. So this is a question for the city attorney. I would like clarification on which part of the clause the city's inaction is based on. Is the city's position based on express preemption, field preemption, or conflict preemption? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haslam.
Hello again, this is Carolyn Quinn back, Ogden resident. I would like to thank you for your comments about the history of women supporting the vote in our country. And I would especially like to thank you for pointing out that we have women in Ogden and in our room here tonight who are continuing that effort. And I'm wondering if I can say they have a website out there, it's called Vote 411, so that people who are thinking about voting can get the information they need to make a more informed vote. I have always felt that I'm a newbie when I came to this room. And tonight I feel differently because there are a couple people who were here that are newer than I am. When I came, I wanted three things right off the bat. I wanted a library card, a driver's license, and a voter registration. The library card was easy. I had difficulty with the other two because I'm from a place that has a Secretary of State, and that's not what we have here. What I found was a League of Women Voters who registered me to vote, and I thank them very much. And there you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alexa, and this is my first town hall meeting, so please be patient with me, and I appreciate the kindness. I've come here to talk about the flock cameras and my increasing worry about the usage. There have been multiple cases throughout the United States of police officers using them to track down past partners, current partners, or even people that they don't know, they just met. And I've noticed more and more that these flock cameras have appeared around our city, and it's quite concerned me about our next generation. I mean, when I was younger, I was able to walk down the street, go to the store, come back. I don't think the police always need to know when someone's just going to the store, though. I've noticed a lot of tracking, and that's quite worried me. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Alexa.
Hi, I'm Carter. I'm an Ogden City resident. This whole flock camera issue really just brings one quote from Benjamin Franklin to mind, which is, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Mr. Peterson, I'm glad to see you up there. I agree with my colleagues back there. Very glad to see that we have some more representation. It really astounds me. I actually went on the website and looked at how many flock cameras are just around everywhere. It is daunting. I really recommend that my other fellow citizens look and see how many cameras there are. They track everything. They track your license plate. They track where you're going. They know everything, absolutely everything. It's truly a travesty. It's awful. I believe it to be unconstitutional. Mr. Peterson, I hope that you can help with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ron Pippin. I am an Ogden City resident and an Ogden City business owner. And I'm here for two reasons. One is there is a group of townhomes over in the block of 1200 East and 1600 South that are currently designated as, what are they designated as? They are not residential. They are designated as, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Anyway, we're trying to get, we had wanted to apply for a short-term rental license, but we were unable to because of the current designation. And I believe that's because it used to be a business area, and there's still a business next to it, but it does not, but they have never redesignated that. So we cannot get short-term rental license because of that. And the other reason why I'm here is just like several other people have said, in support of Jeremy Peterson, sorry, Mr. Peterson. I have seen lots of comments online criticizing him because they said, oh, great. One of the things I saw is, oh, great, another property developer. And the truth is, Jeremy isn't a property developer. He's a realtor, he's a property manager, and they are very different professions. In fact, with housing being one of Ogden's biggest concerns and challenges right now, having someone who understands that housing market, homeownership, rentals, property management can bring valuable perspective to the city council. He isn't new to public service. He's previously served 8 years in the Utah House of Representatives. So he has experience serving the public and working through difficult issues. And at the end of the day, I think every elected official deserves an opportunity to earn our trust or lose it based on the decisions they make while serving. So I suggest we judge Jeremy and everyone else here by the votes they cast, the questions he asks, the decisions he makes from his seat on this council, not by assumptions, social media comments, or rumors that get repeated online. If he makes decisions that are good for Ogden, I think he should be credited for those. And at the same time, if he makes decisions that are bad for Ogden, I think he should be held accountable just like all of you would be. I think that that's a fair standard that we should apply to every public servant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is David Belknap. I live in West Haven, and I'm a co-leader of Indivisible Ogden. Thank you to the council for the opportunity to address this body and, more importantly, the community. Today, I want to address the upcoming report on the Ogden Hold Room. I believe the report will conclude that the facility is in compliance with all applicable federal, state, and county laws. I also expect it will state that the health department and fire department have found no issues. I want to explain why I believe this outcome is possible. When I first began visiting the hold room in January, it was obvious to me there were serious problems with the conditions and with how people in custody were being treated. After questions were raised about oversight, Mayor Nadolski contacted the head ICE agent, and I observed work begin to remodel or improve the hold room. I know this because I have spent a significant amount of time there. From my observation, once the head agent believed the hold room was ready, the Ogden police chief conducted a preliminary inspection of them for the mayor. Additional work continued afterwards, suggesting that more changes were needed. Again, I know this because I have spent a significant amount of time there. Only after these improvements did the mayor accept an invitation to tour the facility. Following that tour, I continue to see work being done, including as recently as July 31st of this year. My concern is that any inspection conducted after these changes may not accurately reflect the conditions that existed before the concerns were raised by members of the community. I also remember the mayor's statement that he is all in on ICE. Because of that, I question whether the process has been impartial. If the final report concludes that everything is in compliance, I worry that those who came forward in good faith will have their credibility unfairly questioned. I ask the council and the community to consider not only what the report says, but also what the timeline is of the inspection and the changes that were made before the inspection took place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belknap.
Laura Lewis, Ogden City resident. Well, I have some questions about the midterm vacancy process. It was my understanding that any conversations you had with a candidate was supposed to be held in a public meeting. And it turns out after the vote, at least 2 of you had private conversations with Mr. Peterson. I don't know if you had them with others or if they had the opportunity to have those one-on-one conversations with you. Was it announced that they could contact you? But even then, everything I read in the open and public meetings seems to lean, the best practice is you do not do that, because it makes me wonder what really happened. How many of you talked among yourselves? Because the odds of all 4 of you reaching that decision on the first vote was like 4%. So immediately I'm thinking, what's going on here? Then I hear you all say, 2 of you say that you did have a private conversation with him. And so that kind of makes me distrust what happened. And you assigned questions to the candidates. They were restricted to 4 questions, and that's all they could address. I don't know what kind of discussions you had with Mr. Peterson, how extensive those conversations were, and did they bias your decision, your vote? And I would just like you to clarify, because from everything I read, that is really not the way this was supposed to be. All those conversations should have been held in a public forum to follow best practices. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Go ahead.
The kingdom of heaven has come near to you. Jesus Christ is the name that I come in. Otherwise, I'm James Joseph Dixon, and I've been reborn through the Holy Spirit. So I come from the heart. Otherwise, I've been an Ogden resident. It felt right to come here to speak, but it hasn't felt like I've been welcomed. So I don't appreciate that. I'm not quite sure. What it is y'all are up to. Maybe y'all have a hard time confronting what I've been addressing for the past months during public comment. It might be easier for you to reject it and not think about it and dismiss it. I understand. For anybody who has ears to hear, that would be of holding to the world. I encourage the one who has ears to repent and follow me. There's been a deception that I have brought to this board's attention. However, it seems like there's a new member. So perhaps they are willing. Otherwise, maybe perhaps someone in the audience is willing. I'm kind, and I've found a deception, and it doesn't seem right. It seems like entities were cast out from heaven. It seems like the earth is for sure flat with the dome overhead. Outer space seems like a lie for sure. It seems like those who've been cast out have pretended to be human and have had shape-shifting abilities
and have changed their names and have been in high up positions, such as president. All of the presidents of the United States of America have been entities, non-human. The Constitution sure could be great. Yeah, but the Statue of Liberty has symbolized Satan. I don't think that's cool. I wrote them a letter. I've written letters to the deceivers. And got about 20 seconds left. But yeah, I'm James, and what I've found is on YouTube, has been on YouTube, The Fittest Flat Earther. Mr. Tyler's been exposing the deception because he cares, and I've been doing the same. So this is an issue that can be overcome easily, but maybe not so easy for others. Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Father bless us all.
Okay, we have some comments online. I've got Heath Sato. Looks like you're at the top.
Hi there. Sorry, having trouble with my microphone here. Heath Sato, Ogden resident, and I believe in outer space and that the Earth is an oblate spheroid. But anyways, with all due respect to the new council member and the people that spoke in his favor, the one thing that concerned me the most about your choice when it was rumored that the choice had already been made long before we had that meeting, that concerned me that we put the first real estate guy on the council. Prior to that, we didn't have anyone deeply involved in real estate in Ogden. And while that has advantages as a consultant, we're talking about a lot of voting. And already your very first day, your very first vote, I respect the fact that you recused yourself, but I feared that that is going to be the case quite often. This is someone that has fairly direct relationships with developers and investors and has direct financial interest in seeing Ogden gentrified as fast as possible. As someone that's attended more council meetings up there than anyone except council member Heyer, I can tell you that the number one thing the city does most is make choices regarding real estate and real estate development in some way or another. I'd like to thank Councilmember Peterson again for recusing himself for the only thing you had to vote on tonight, but a city council member ultimately has one job: to make choices publicly and vote on those choices. And I'm more than a little concerned that the 4 council members that decided weeks ago to choose a real estate guy for Councilmember Myers' spot, it feels like you may not have thought this through. Referring to previous comments, I'm afraid if he remains honest about recusing himself, he won't actually have enough votes from him for us to actually judge him and where he's coming from. But this will be interesting to see. I think you could have chosen better among the other 18 that wouldn't create such an issue. But good luck. Thanks.
Thanks, Heath. Let's see. Annie Dunaway again.
Yes, thank you, Annie Dunaway. So I would like to go back to the Taylor Canyon conversation. I would encourage both the school district and the city to explore alternatives beyond dividing the property between a park and whatever else it becomes. One option would be for the city to purchase the entire property and then pursue a conservation easement on all or portions of that land. Conservation easements are voluntary legal agreements that permanently protect land from future development while allowing public ownership to remain intact. In most cases, the financial value of those development rights can be compensated through public conservation funding grants or a partnership with land conservation organizations. While every easement program is a little bit different, they can significantly reduce the long-term financial burden of preserving important community spaces. Another possibility would be purchasing the entire property and placing it in an agricultural easement. as it's perfectly laid out and suited for community agriculture. The area could become a permanent community garden, something similar to Wasatch Community Gardens, an educational farm, orchard, or urban agriculture space, while remaining protected from future development. A third option is for the city to help facilitate rather than directly purchase the property by partnering with residents to establish a community land trust or nonprofit ownership model. Communities across the country have successfully raised private donations, secured grants, and partnered with conservation organizations to preserve spaces they love. This is a big issue to our community. And one thing I want to point out in response to the fact that taxpayers already own the property, it sounds a lot like Ogden City School District took out a loan on property they don't own. That is our property. We paid for it. And it's almost like the kids who found out their parents' inheritance was donated to the parks, don't you think? That's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks. And let's see, Teresa's iPhone.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. This is Teresa Bramwell. I would like to welcome Mr. Peterson to the council. I hope that he can bring some prudent decisions about real estate transfers to the council. I have seen a lot of really crazy stuff go on in the 4 years that I've been attending council meetings every week. But my main objective here is to cheerlead for East Central, which is where I own property, commercial property, and a single family home on 25th Street and Monroe Boulevard. I want Mr. Peterson and everyone on the council and everyone in the room to know a little bit of the history of this area. So this used to be a Rite Aid on between 24th and 25th on Monroe, and a Safeway grocery store, plus many other smaller businesses. For at least the past 10 years, since 2015, this land has been owned by Ogden City and vacant dirt. The reason why all those buildings were demolished is because they were being broken into by homeless people, and fires were being started, and there was tons of criminal activity going on inside of them. So Ogden City bulldozed those buildings, and they have been sitting as vacant ground, our entire commercial block, for a decade. While we have been paying for the junction we paid for, we took a haircut on any money going to East Central, and many other projects that have gone on downtown. So East Central has basically been abandoned by Ogden City. Something else you should know is that we have a huge homeless crime problem, enormous. It's an epidemic going on in East Central, specifically on 25th and Monroe. I have been a crime victim over 500 times on my property. And I have come to learn that Ogden City is not in charge of the homeless people in East Central. Weber County is actually in charge of the homeless people and the policing of them, because the East Central is more than a mile away from a homeless shelter. So that was a state law that Weber County's in charge of that. They have dropped the ball, and we have been crime victims. Why has Ogden City allowed that to happen? It's unacceptable. Some of the other things I want you to know is that in 2015, there was a plan called the Ogden on Board plan that created the bus that stops on 25th and Monroe for $120 million. Part of that was a transportation-oriented development agreement that went with that bus, which I should be included in, and all this property on 25th and Monroe should also be included in. Who's in charge of that?
Thanks,
Who can we
Teresa.
talk to about it? Thank you.
All right, I don't see any more hands online. Got one more here in the chambers.
Hey, my name is Stuart Kaler, Ogden City resident. I just wanted to welcome Mr. Peterson to the council. I'll echo some of the comments that were made here tonight by some residents. Yeah, there was a lot of online flack. It was unwarranted, I think. But welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad to have a level head to fill the seat. I think you'll do well by all of us here. So thank you.
Thank you. Hope you've already had your turn, Bob.
Mr. Chair, several people have used their time a second time, so here I am. I came
But they
tonight.
used it on the other item. It's, yeah, our rules are pretty specific, and I'm really sorry, but
I'm
you
not
only
going
get
to
3
talk
minutes.
about that other item. I came to
I know.
to congratulate Council Member Peterson
I
and
bet you
to
can speak with
express
him.
my appreciation to Mara Brown and to express my congratulations to Taylor Nielsen, and I'm looking forward to meeting with him. When I first worked with Jeremy Peterson, it was
Council members, what should we do? This is really kind of unprecedented, Bob. It does violate our rules to give you a second time. I invite you to stay after the meeting.
How is it that other people had a second
Because
time?
they spoke about the budget amendment. They got 3 minutes for that, and then they got 3 minutes for public comment. You used your public comment 3 minutes already.
That's right, you're right. And I did use it for I used up that time on the amendment, and so I did. I'll come back next week.
That would be great.
And I'll watch
We'll
the score
give
of
you
the
another 3 minutes
Raptors
then.
online while I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Okay. So there are several questions. We're going to give the administration a chance to answer questions as they see fit.
Thank you, Chair Heyer. I appreciate that opportunity. It does look like there were, oops, if I'm close enough. So, Robert, thank you for your comments as you came in, and I guess we'll see you next week. So we'll look forward to that opportunity. I appreciate those that came out tonight for Taylor Canyon, and I appreciate the mayor and his work and the council of trying to get us to this point. I think there's been a lot of great opportunities to continue to keep a park and some space in the neighborhood. And so I am just grateful that we're able to continue those conversations and keep making great things happen in some of those neighborhoods. There were a lot of questions, sounds like, surrounding probably some ice and some of the ice facilities. My hope is there's probably a list of some of these questions somewhere that I could probably otherwise be referred to, or I don't know if there's something that's been sent over. I know we have addressed some of these questions in the past, but I would like to look into definitely some of these items. Looking at Mr. Belknap, I was unaware that they made improvements to the ice facility or that there was work that was going on. So I can go ask those questions as far as if there were permits or anything pulled around that. I was unfamiliar with any sort of changes that were made to the facility. Generally, we would know that as part of tenant improvements or other things of that nature. And then with the flock cameras, I do know that there are questions surrounding those and the what's happening with them. I know our police department does have a policy that they've placed online. And so there's a lot of items that they are trying to be transparent with, including some of the data and what they have with it, the retention policy and some of those items. So I'd encourage you to go online and look at that policy and look at some of the stuff that we are doing. We've done a lot of work trying to make sure that the stuff that we are using those cameras for is specifically related to work that the police have used. We are aware of some of the national stories of stuff that has happened in some of these other circumstances. And so we've been working really hard to ensure that we're not having some of those same issues. However, it's trying to make sure that the policies are in place about what happens with the information and then what we need to do next. So it's something that we're undertaking and talking with our police department and always trying to keep that in the back of our minds of what we need to be. Teresa mentioned what's been going around with OGX and the Ogden Onboard Plan. There was a plan that was undertaken as part of the OGX, and so it was generally you would do density around each bus stop. And so we did that for quite a few different areas, and we actually ended up spending a lot of time with our planning group in that section around 36th Street, and then our spot down here around 23rd as part of Union Station. So we do have a couple of those plans that are online. They're great development options of some stuff that we would expect to see for growing the city of Ogden. but we have a great opportunity with the OGX to help us always increase density amongst other items along that corridor and help bring and get people to travel kind of where they need to go. I do know that there will probably be other questions of other items that I missed, but again, I have a bunch of notes that I have written down that I'll try and respond to as I can collect some of that information going forward.
Okay, thank you. I've got I made a list of a few of these questions. Question was asked if there was going to be apartment buildings on the part of Taylor Canyon that the city did not purchase, and I can just tell you that the current zoning for that is R16, which means single-family homes, 6,000 square feet per lot. I can promise you that I'm not in favor of changing that zoning. Not that zoning can never change, but while I'm here, we won't be changing that zoning. At least I won't be voting to change the zoning. I don't think that's been proposed by anybody at this point. So I wouldn't expect to see apartment buildings there. Let's see. I liked the quote Carter gave about the liberty versus security thing. I also feel that same way. I think our liberty is more important than a priority. That our liberty is absolutely an important feature of our republic, and sometimes we do give away a little safety to protect our liberty. I also have asked a lot of questions because of the comments from public about flock cameras, and I'm not entirely sold that there isn't some areas for improvement. I do like the idea that the way it has been presented to us is that they are taking pictures of the back of cars with the license plate on public property. They don't take pictures of anything on private property. Now, the data, how the data is cared for is certainly a legitimate question. Any technology can be used in a bad way, and I think it's our intention and our responsibility to make sure that it is not.
Chair, can I just
yes.
add to that? So it's been a little bit, but January 20th, our work session had an item with Chief Subi on the flock cameras, and so you can go to the council website and pull up that work session. A lot of really good material was presented in there, including the number of cameras. There's 41 in the city limits. 32 are in, they call the Project Safe Neighborhood Initiative, which grant funding is what has been used to acquire those. There's 8 located in BDO, and then there's a mobile camera trailer that's brought, where driven based on, activity of thefts, burglaries, and things like that. What was interesting in that presentation, I just was kind of going through, just reviewing a little bit, is that Chief Subi talked about state law and what's allowed under the flock cameras, and how Ogden Police Policy 65 restricts it a little bit, restricts it more than what's allowed in state law. And so one of the things that you mentioned was the 30 days of data, which is what Ogden does. State law allows up to 9 months, but Ogden will only maintains 30 days of data. Access to flock data is through ATAC or sergeant access only, so not any police officer has access to that. They require mandatory case or a CAD number and crime type in order to search in that data. What flock cameras do and don't do, it doesn't capture biometrics, face recognition, doesn't do live monitoring, doesn't do video recording. The intent is to take pictures of license plates as they're coming and going in different things. So again, there's a lot to this, and I remember it was January when we last had a little bit more robust discussion on that, but I just encourage anybody with concerns about it, that's a good place to start in understanding what's being done there.
Councilmember Rich, can I add to that? So one of the things that came of that meeting was we found out that this parts of Ogden's policy that were stricter than state law wasn't written into the policy. That's since been changed. And also, another thing that came from that meeting was we requested that there be a transparency portal. That is now up as well. You can see that. I just Googled Ogden Flock Transparency Portal. You can see that. It'll show you the number of searches in the last 30 days that the police department has done. So that we can look into this transparency portal and have a public discussion about it. So that information is there as well as they did at the time pull back all of their data sharing with other agencies until they got memorandums of understandings. And I think maybe we could get a follow-up on what who we now have memorandums of understanding with and who we are sharing our data with and what those memorandums of understanding look like. Because those were all things that I think were brought forward by the public that the police department was responsive to. So thank you for that work. And there has been some better process because of that. And that being said, I'm not I have concerns about Flock as a company itself beyond big ones and license plate readers in general and how they're used. But there has been progress. I think the policy is better because of the public input and what has come from it. So thanks.
Yep. Thanks, Councilmember Lundell. You caught a lot of what I was going to share. And it's an ongoing topic that we're interested in discussing further and learning more about as this technology transforms and how it's used. I was on the the city's transparency portal as well. I invite you to go there. I did read in Axios today that Salt Lake City's city council is rewriting their ordinance as it pertains to flock cameras and how they're used by the police department. And they're coming more into line with what Ogden is already doing to secure the data and limit the amount of time that information is retained. So it's something that's moving for many cities, and we appreciate your input on the topic.
Councilmember Graff, just a point of clarification there. I believe that Salt Lake City actually isn't with Flock. They have automatic license plate readers, but they're their own proprietary system, so it's outside of Flock. But it's still an automatic license plate reader. Yeah.
Sorry to refer to license plate readers like Kleenex.
Well, they're different. They're
it's
different
a generic
companies.
term. Sorry.
Yeah, they're different companies. I just wanted to make that clarification because that one's an important one for me. They're different companies. Yeah.
Anybody else? We're in council member comment period. I didn't make that clear. So.
Oh, I wanted to address Laura's thing about the odds of 4 of us picking the same person at 4%. And I saw your post online on that, and I've thought about it. And actually, I ran some numbers, and that's true if we were dealing with 19 inanimate objects. These are not, I got the same number you did, but inanimate objects. The candidates that were before us were animated. They were living people. And they brought to us a letter of introduction and interest. I read all of them. They also provided us with a resume that distinguished one from the other as individuals, not generic items or inanimate items. And then we had 4 minutes of interview time with each individual that was interested in taking the seat. So we were able to distinguish much more specifically individuals within that pool than we would have had if they were just this 19 different colored marbles and 4 of us picking the same color marble. That's an inanimate object. So I think because we had a process in place and we were able to individualize the candidates, it's really not all that unlikely that we would find some commonality in qualifications. That's my 2 cents. We don't talk back and forth. See me afterward.
And if I could add to that too, though, that the last time we did this process was 20 years ago. It was a much different process at that time. There was, we had all the interviews. The council went into closed session. They picked 5 out of the number of, there was 39 20 years ago, so twice as many. Anyway, state law has trumped what we did then. I actually like the process better now than the way it was then, but anyway, so we had to follow the process. And so our process, we followed it as exactly as we could. That doesn't mean that there were several of the candidates, I shouldn't say several because that would indicate maybe there was most of them, but there were several of the candidates that did call, I think all of us, to make their pitch. Just like, you know, they might call you as a voter if they were going to be on the ballot. And that's the way that, you know, they campaigned for themselves that way. That was not excluded by state law. I think it was kind of expected, at least by me. I thought I'd get more calls than I did get. So that's kind of how that all played out.
And I think that legal actually weighed in on this with us as we were beginning our process, and maybe Gary, you could share what is allowed and what is not allowed in a circumstance around a situation that we just went through.
The only restriction is that you couldn't have a city council meeting in a closed session and interview them in a closed session. There's no other restriction.
Could 4 of us have gotten together and had coffee with any one of the candidates?
No.
I don't know of any restriction regarding that.
Well, not 4 of us together.
And we didn't.
Well, not 4. I'm sorry. Let me just say, you couldn't have a quorum. You couldn't have a quorum. So 3, but not 4.
Okay, and there wasn't 3 of us either. It's just we were very well coached on where our legal limits were drawn around engagement with any particular candidate, and I didn't violate that as a member of this council. I did take phone calls. I did have coffee with one gentleman, and after that, I'd have taken a call or had coffee with any one of the 19.
Yeah, maybe just clarity on that. Is that violating the Public Meetings Act to have a one-on-one conversation, or?
No violation.
And that, I think my point, or my thought was, again, I expected to have more calls. I had 5 individuals reach out to me and share with me why they were interested in being part of the council. And again, I also felt like I was expected to have more. So, or I expected more maybe would have reached out to me, but I had 5 that did. And then again, I explained on just how I came to my conclusion on what I decided there, so.
Chair, I have a few remarks.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So I just, along with some responses from fellow council members regarding topics brought up from the public, which again, thank you for attending. Thank you for your emails, your calls throughout the week, during the public comment, public hearing. Thank you so much for your involvement, continued involvement. Regarding the Taylor Canyon vote, I just wanted to say to Carolyn, excuse me, in particular that I was looking up our transmittal and just securing that, and I think she left, there you are, that the Utah code, if you pull up our transmittal and look what has sent out and is public information, that if there's a purchase of surplus property from a school district purchased by the city, state code, part of it designates that purchase has to be used by a park, be used for a park or other open space. So just to give you reference to where you can find that in the documents that we're looking at as well. And then in regards to comments from Jesse, Carter, and Alexa regarding flock cameras, Councilmember Ritchie and several other council members noted that the January 20th presentation from Chief Subi about flock cameras is very extensive. I believe he presented to us for about an hour and gives you a great overview of flock cameras and how Ogden City uses them and how OPD uses them and the policies and due diligence they have in investigating and making sure we are having open and transparency and being accountable to our public. And I would like to maybe invite leadership to consider having Chief Subi come back for an update on flock cameras, but then potentially for leadership to have an agenda item where we look at how much the city is spending on flock cameras as opposed to other automatic license plate readers. And I do just want to note that there has been a rise in concerns and about, this isn't locally, but nationally, about flock cameras being used for stalking or an increase of gender-based violence and digital violence through flock cameras by people that are not using flock cameras how they should be used. And so we know we have victims advocates through OPD or YCC or UCASA, and if someone feels like they need to talk to someone about gender-based violence, about digital violence that could be occurring through them that they think is happening through flock, again, there's no proof of it happening here in Ogden City, but there's resources for you to go and talk to people, and I just want to legitimize those concerns that there could be stalking going on, not locally, but there's a rise in that conversation. And then additionally, talking into like updates on ICE. Kim, there's a planning commission commissioner meeting tomorrow. All that information is online if people are curious about what's going on with the Planning Commission in general, or if something will be presented to the Planning Commission regarding ICE and any of their requested information from administration for an update. And then additionally, Mr. Nielsen, I appreciate that you are looking into any additional permits that might have been issued or pulled for renovations at the ICE hold facility. And I will just state that I have been working with Sheriff Arbon to be able to tour the ICE facility, and I should be able to hear from the sheriff a little later this week as far as if I can tour the facility this week, and I will keep everyone updated. Laura, in regards to the appointment process, I can only talk about my process that I approached this with. Again, I thank city staff for the council staff for all the preparation that we had for this process. And when it came to a work session where there was an expression used that there might be some campaigning from some of the candidates, I wanted to make sure that I gave an opportunity to have a fair and equitable process in how I was receiving the information and researching the candidates based on the information that was sent to me, which was all in that packet that Councilmember Graff outlined. And that if I did have a candidate reach out, my blanket response to any candidate who reached out to me via text, phone call, or email was the candidate's name, thank you for reaching out, and congratulations on officially being an applicant for council vacancy. At this time, at the time that I sent this one, I was waiting for the application period to close. And then I was planning on reviewing the applications all at once, and if I needed to reach out to the applicants, I would reach out with additional questions after studying the applications. I wanted to be sure that after reading all the documentation provided, that if there was a set of questions, that those questions that I had could be asked to each one of the candidates to make sure everyone was getting a fair and equitable assessment from me as a council member to make this appointment. I had 2 applicants reach out to me, and I sent the same response because those 2 applicants that reached out, it was prior to the application closing. From there, I did my research based on the council packets that were prepared for us by council staff, and I did no additional reaching out to candidates because I wanted to base it on the information that was sent to me. During that time, I also did not hear from my fellow council members until Monday night prior to the vote, when Councilmember Lundell reached out to me and asked me if I had had conversations with fellow council members, to which I said no. So the opportunity to have conversations with fellow council members passed, and I made my assessment my deep assessment based on the packets that were provided to us, solely on that information. And I just wanted to provide that clarity and accountability to my process in the appointment. of the vacancy. And lastly, I'm just curious, and council members, if you have heard of any type of announcement from the city, and Mr. Nielsen as well, with all of the 100-degree days that we are having in our city. If we have any information going out, if people need to go to cooling centers. I know the library is always open, but what about golden hours, Marshall White, for people that might be experiencing power outages or AC units that go out to our vulnerable community members? If we could make that information more well-known, that if someone is having issues keeping cool, that we as a city are providing that resource to make sure that everyone remains healthy so we can all get through these 100-day days together safely and, you know, with our health. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the opportunity to speak and to maybe just introduce myself a little bit to the council and those of you that are here. I know a lot of you do not know me, and I don't know a lot of you, so there's going to be an opportunity for us to get to know each other a little more and learn about each other. Bob, it's good to see you. You're an old friend, and I'm excited to see you're still involved and listening and here to make a difference. Bob and I worked together a long time ago when we were trying to get the Lantern House funded and going, and we were able to get that done. We've done a lot together since that time. Also, thank you for the kind words. For those of you that offered those, I appreciate your kudos and hope to do justice to everyone here in the room and to the citizens of Ogden. Speaking to some of the issues that were brought up tonight regarding ICE, just my observation from the comments that have been made this evening, and it seems like we're really down in the weeds and the minutia of what's going on with the facility here in the city. So I'm going to need to brief myself more on those details and minutia, get caught up. Regarding flock cameras, I haven't made up my mind on this issue yet, and it's kind of an evolving thing, but the word consent was mentioned tonight, and I believe that that's an important concept. To me, looking at this issue and what I'm looking at the discussion around the flock cameras, kind of echoes a little bit of the sentiments that have been going on around data centers and the strong feelings that are had about those. And in my mind, that seems to be that there was a failure to launch on the side of our government institutions to prepare the public to have that discussion in advance and also basically make the pitch to say, here are the benefits and here are the costs of this policy or this project or this idea. And so to me, I'm observing a lot of resentment in the population on these two topics. And so there's work that needs to be done to more fully understand that. So I'm committed to learning more and figuring that out, and you'll be hearing more from me on this topic in the future. Regarding the process for the selection, I used to serve on the Government Operations Committee at the Capitol, and one of the comments that I saw brought up as criticisms about this whole process was, why don't we just run an election? Why don't we just do get the ballots out and get everybody at the polls to do an election? And the problem with that solution is it's very expensive to print ballots, send things out for a midterm vacancy. And again, going back to cost benefit. So the state came up with a process, kind of an imperfect, perhaps slightly clumsy process to fill the vacancy on a short term and then go to the general elections in the future. As far as that process went with me, I had been pondering a city council seat before the vacancy came up, but it was something out in the future because the election's a ways out. And when this vacancy came up, that kind of accelerated our consideration for putting our hat in the ring and seeing what, what's possible. And in my experience, when seeking an office, you contact the voters. You go and talk to the voters who are going to make that decision. And so I did that. I contacted the voters on this council that I thought would most likely support me, and just made my pitch, my elevator pitch. And then, of course, this was after the filing period that I did this, and there were 19 other good candidates that came out. And so anything's possible in politics. It's never done until the vote's done. But that's what happened. And then just to respond to Mr. Sato's comments, the rumors of me being a real estate Darth Vader are greatly exaggerated. I am not a real estate developer. I do not have close relations with real estate developers. I have lived at 22nd and Jefferson for 22 years. I have helped first-time home buyers. I have helped homeowners. I've helped business people buy and sell real estate here in our city. At one time, or over the last 20 years, I have helped the city purchase beat-up, ugly houses. Some of those were clients of mine that were selling, and the city showed up to buy them. Sometimes the city said, hey, we'd like you to help us acquire a property. But there's about 10 times over 20 years that I helped the city assist out. There was a grammar request this week that came in, and we filled that grammar request. But I believe the expectations that I'll be recusing myself from every other vote in our meetings here is probably not very close to being correct. My recusal today related to my relationship with the Ogden School District, where for the past year I've been working with them to help facilitate this transaction with the Taylor Canyon Park. I was on their side of the transaction way back a year ago when we started this, and asked the city if they wanted the parcel. And then that process has been continuing on until being finalized today. In my mind, when I thought that this business would have been done prior to me being sworn in today. But yeah, there shouldn't be too much additional business in the future where I'd recuse myself. I don't have that much real estate that it would be an issue. So hopefully that clarifies some things, and I will hang out and loiter after the meeting. And for those of you who want to talk about anything or have ideas or concerns, whatnot, I'll make myself available, and maybe we can get to know each other a little better. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lopez, did you have any comments?
Thank you. I just want to share my process for vote. So I didn't reach out any of other council members. I based on the information I had in the moment, which was the resumes, the letters, and the package. And I just chose the person that I believe is more prepared. So that was my process, and that's it.
Okay. I think that concludes councilmember comments. Do we have another motion?
Like a motion to adjourn?
Second. I have a motion by Vice Chair Graff, second by Councilmember Lundell to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?